Tennis was very strong in the 70s, so that started the programs early on. And at the time, it was like, well, we only have 9 courts. So if you have 2 schools in town, you really don't have facilities for 2 sets of teams.
We had courts, in other locations in the park system, and specifically in Grant Park, those were 50 years old. So there was a need to do some upgrades to tennis facilities.
There was some concern that as you try to put the overlay equipment on the really older courts, that you actually might end up with crumbling and cracking and a breakdown in the courts. So at that point, we weren't willing to take that risk, and ultimately there was a huge drive and excitement, if you will, around the idea that we would be able to bring in district and regional type events and tournaments and things like that.
It allows them to all work together on multiple courts at one site. It's easier to manage that way.
It's a complement to the businesses, our food service businesses, hotels, all benefit from these things. And anytime that you can be thinking about big picture, I think that really makes a project go.
When we went out to bid, the project was about $650,000, and the city put in about 2/3 of that funding through local option sales tax, general fund money, and hotel motel.
I see more adults down there hitting balls and more adults talking to me about, what kind of racket should I get? Some of those elements of the sport that, I hadn't heard in the last 5 or 8 years prior to the courts being built. We do want to have events here that allow to showcase our community.
There are a lot more kids than I even realized that are out there on those courts and playing tennis on a regular basis.
We had a free tennis clinic that we put on, and we had good participation with the young kids coming out.
Any projects that people, that communities are willing to take on, I think that anything where you're doing, working with the school system, you're always going to have that extra support.
And it was actually 2012, the Iowa Tennis Association 2012 Facility of the Year. It's a great feeling to look out there and see 6 courts being used with families and kids participating.
The way they were constructed was to look 20 or 30 years down the road and say that we still have a good product.
Anytime that you can bring people into Carroll and showcase the community for the day or for a weekend, it's always a good thing.